Saint Martin de Porres. Saint Martin de Porres was born in Lima, Peru on December 9, 1579. Martin was the illegitimate son to a Spanish gentleman and a freed slave from Panama of African or possibly Native American descent. At a young age, Martin's father abandoned him, his mother and his younger sister, leaving Martin to grow up in deep poverty. As Martin grew older, he experienced a great deal of ridicule for being of mixed race. When Martin turned 8, his father had a change of heart and decided to claim his 2 children, publicly identified as mulatto, a term used for mixed-race children, in spite of the gossip to which it subjected him. He made sure that both were afforded a good education and had enough money for the family not to suffer hardship. At the age of 12, Martin began an apprenticeship with a barber/surgeon named Marcel de Rivero. He proved extremely skillful at this trade, and soon customers, who at first were skeptical of the young colored boy, came to prefer and ask for him. In Peru, by law, all descendants of African or Indians were not allowed to become full members of religious orders. After leaving home, Martin took a room in the house of Ventura de Luna. He was a devoted Catholic who spent much time in church. Martin begged his landlady for some candle stubs. She was curious about his activities and one night spied on him through a keyhole and witnessed Martin praying in ecstasy, a practice he would continue throughout his life. Martin, who spent long hours in prayer, found his only way into the community he longed for was to ask the Dominicans of Holy Rosary Priory in Lima to accept him as a volunteer who performed the most menial tasks in the monastery. In return, he would be allowed to wear the habit and live within the religious community. When Martin was 15, he asked for admission into the Dominican convent of the Rosary in Lima and was received as a servant boy and eventually was moved up to the church officer in charge of distributing money to deserving poor. During his time in the convent, Martin took on his old trades of barbering and healing. He also worked in the kitchen, did laundry, and cleaned. After 8 more years with the Holy Rosary, Martin was granted the privilege to take his vows as a member of the Third Order of Saint Dominic by the prior Juan de Lorenzana, who decided to disregard the law restricting Martin based on race. However, not all of the members in the Holy Rosary were as open-minded as Lorenzana. Martin was called horrible names and mocked for being illegitimate and descending from slaves. Martin grew to become a Dominican lay brother in 1603 at the age of 24. Martin's spiritual practices were legendary. He would often fast for extensive periods of time on bread and water. He loved all-night vigils, frequently praying by lying down as if crucified, sometimes kneeling but sometimes levitating off the floor. Equally legendary was his love of animals. He would feed and heal all animals that came into his vicinity, and they understood and obeyed him. Saint Martin is often portrayed with mice because, according to one story, the monastery was tired of their rodent problems and decided to set traps. Martin was so distressed that he spoke to the mice and cut a deal with them that if they would leave the monastery, he would feed them at the back door of the kitchen. From that day forward, no mouse was seen in the monastery. 10 years later, after he had been presented with the religious habit of a lay brother, Martin was assigned to the infirmary where he would remain in charge until his death. He became known for encompassing the virtues needed to carefully and patiently care for the sick, even in the most difficult situations. Martin was praised for his unconditional care of all people, regardless of race or wealth. He took care of everyone from the Spanish nobles to the African slaves. Martin didn't care if the person was diseased or dirty, he would welcome them into his own home. Martin's life reflected his great love for God and all of God's gifts. It is said he had many extraordinary abilities, including levitation, bilocation, instant cures, ability to read hearts, and an excellent relationship with animals. Martin also founded an orphanage for abandoned children and slaves, and is known for raising dowry for young girls in short amounts of time. During an epidemic in Lima, many of the friars in the convent of the Rosary became very ill. Locked away in a distant section of the convent, they were kept away from the professed. However, on more than one occasion, Martin passed through the locked doors to care for the sick. However, he became disciplined for not following the rules of the convent, but after replying, "Forgive my error, and please instruct me, for I did not know that the precept of obedience took precedence over that of charity," he was given full liberty to follow his heart in mercy. Martin was great friends with both Saint Juan Macias, a fellow Dominican lay brother, and Saint Rose of Lima, a lay Dominican. In January of 1639, when Martin was 60 years old, he became very ill with chills, fevers and tremors, causing him agonizing pain. He would experience almost a year full of illness until he passed away on November 3, 1639. His funeral was attended by thousands of people from all walks of life who vied to get a piece of St. Martin's habit as a relic. These pieces of the saint's habit have been associated with innumerable miraculous cures. Saint Martin de Porres, pray for us. Oil dedicated to Saint Martin de Porres, now available at A Blessed Call to Love.